All right. Well, we have everyone here now. Great to see you all. Folks, my name is Jarrod Barnes. I am the head of founder success at the Near Foundation. Have the privilege and opportunity of working with all of our founders and builders on Near. And I could not be more proud about this panel and these amazing founders on stage here. 6 months ago, we really doubled down on growing and scaling our AI ecosystem. And as we were in that process of growing, we said, who are the best founders in the space that we can go find and work with? And those are these folks sitting on stage. And so we have teams building at all layers of this decentralized AI stack that I'm really excited to get into, and really excited for you all to hear a little bit more about each and every single one of them. So Dylan, I'm going to start with you. And if we can go down the line, just sharing a little bit about not only what you're building, but your origin story to how, for yourself and Pond, came about.
Sure. Thank you, Jarrod, and thank you. Nice to meet you, everyone. So I'm Dylan, one of the co-founders at Pond, and also we are one of the incubees of Near AI Horizon Incubation program. So at Pond, what we are doing is we are developing crypto-native models trained on on-chain data. So for example, I can give you some examples because AI model seems to be a little bit vague. So when we are saying that one token is about to pump, based on all the training results that we have on the on-chain behaviors of previous tokens, what might happen, and based on the behavioral predictions, so we can say, maybe this token has some potential in some ways. So this is one of the use cases of on-chain data and also on-chain data models. So we started from developing user search engine because we feel like it's very difficult to find who knows who and who knows who well, and it seems like it's very hard to do such a thing in Web 2 because all the data structures across different platforms, they are totally different. Like today, I'm using Facebook data, but your LinkedIn profile also has some of the social information of yourself. But just know such a third party can do this. So we started from on-chain data because all the financial data and social data are at one place, and we developed a graphical algorithm to calculate the distance between different nodes, which are different users. And from calculating the distance, we'll be able to find who knows who and who knows who well to provide such a user service, user search service. And later on, we feel like since all the social data and the financial data are at the same place, why don't we just train an industrial scale models? So that's how we started this project. We are more like a model developer, developing crypto-native AI models to power all the crypto-native use cases. Right.
Hey guys, I'm Jonathan, one of the 4 core members of Exabits. And we got our origin story from having experience in building over 100 data sensors in our past lives. And now we are leveraging that to produce compute for the decentralized compute market, and also decentralized AI companies, Web 2 and Web 3 gaming companies, and really focusing on Gen AI companies who want to just build with us. So so leveraging that data center experience, we decided to provide compute to everyone in the market. Some of the things and companies we are working with, Web 2 Gen AI companies, Web 3 Gen AI companies, and also a lot of the cohort members inside Near Foundation.
All right, I guess it's me. First off, thanks for having me, Near. I'm Don. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Nevermind. So my origin story, my parents met in 1968. No, just kidding. So I've been focused on the ML and AI space for going on 20 years now. Studied engineering at university and then went into commodities trading. On the risk side, doing back then what was called statistical modeling, which then became machine learning and now has been co-opted by the AI brand. Did that for a few years and then parlayed that into a career for the better part of a decade and a half in IT consulting as a subject matter expert in data and analytics. That had me travel all over the world, building large-scale data estates for ML purposes for some of the biggest companies on the planet, HSBC, L'Oreal, AXA, Mizu, yada, yada. Caught the crypto bug in 2016. Went down that rabbit hole. Was enamored with the, I think, sophistication and elegance of using a blockchain for provenance integrity purposes. So in 2017, I co-founded a project called Ocean Protocol, which was one of the first attempts to bring AI and blockchain together. So I've been doing this for the better part of a decade now, before it was ever cool. A lot of people used to look at me side-eyed, like, what the fuck are you doing? But yeah, I've been in this space for a long time, and where we've landed now is that we've really distilled basically a decade's worth of knowledge into a hyper-focus on AI payments. So Nevermind, we have a very specific view of the world. We believe what we're witnessing right now is the rise of a new consumer that's going to manifest as trillions of AI agents, and that these agents are going to change commerce forever. We believe that this is a category-defining moment, the new category being AI commerce, and in response, we're building the PayPal of AI to be the engine behind AI commerce and get these agents paid.
Boom. Jarrod, thanks for moderating, and it's been an amazing experience working with Near Horizon in this previous incubator. My name's Whitney. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Ringfence AI. I've been in the space since 2017, and as an observer at first, and then a community member for a lot of now defunct projects. But I really found my passion in mining at first, and over the course of a few years, I built a pretty successful mining podcast called the Hash Rate Podcast, which is now the Mining Podcast, still in operation today, and built a company called Compass Mining from 0 to about 100 employees. Compass is now one of Bitcoin's largest hash rate managers, and we serve thousands and thousands of retail Bitcoin miners. In 2022, I really caught the AI bug. We were getting a lot of inbound from people who wanted us to stand up GPU facilities for them. And ETH mining was dying, so I got really curious as to why. So I started looking into where all of this compute power was being directed, and really caught the AI bug. Stepped down as CEO of Compass and focused all efforts on learning more about the AI space. Became a student of the process of how to build and scale one of these businesses. Developed a couple of different AI products that are now in operation, mostly in the UAE. And then in 2023, started Ringfence with a couple of friends. And our goal with Ringfence was to help people monetize their data. Simply put, we found that right now there's a tremendous push for AI, but the barrier is going to be the quality data that people are able to gather. And much like the thesis of Nevermind that Don has, we believe that there's going to be trillions and trillions of these agents that are out there in operation, and each one of them are going to need different types of data. And most of that data is going to be unlocked by tapping into consumers, which presents an opportunity for these consumers to get paid, which is really where we focus at Ringfence. So the first product that we built was geared towards creators, and that is Escher. The Escher app went live in September of this year. We had over 140,000 creators that were excited to start using the platform. So that's been in operation for a couple of months now. And today, actually, if you go to ringfence.ai, we've just released our API so that anyone, any platform, any company has the ability to integrate Ringfence's data governance and monetization into their own platform, so you can collect, protect, and monetize your own users' data. And we believe that this is going to be the real unlock for consumer data to help us break through the current data wall that a lot of companies are facing, while paying people for the data that they provide, right? Because we've all been giving our data away for, as long as the internet has existed, and now I think it's only right that people actually get paid for what they contribute. So that's really where our focus lies, and it's been my journey up to this point.
Thanks. Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Mizu. You can see that my name is not listed here because I almost cannot make it. But finally, I made it. And then thanks, Jarrod, to bring me back into the stage. Yeah, I'm super glad to join the Horizon program and share my story. So Mizu was originated by, it's actually founded last year. And at very first, we're thinking what's the most problem, what's the most fundamental problem we want to solve for the AI space. And the problem we see is that there's very few AI applications coming out. We see a lot of progress in the foundation model side, but the application ecosystem is still not boosted. And we look into that and see why. And we look back into this kind of Web2, normal application side. We see that the open source code really boosted the application, web applications or whatever this kind of applications for this kind of space. And for AI side, we see the opposite story. most of the data is actually multiplied, valuable data, I would say, by enterprises, by these kind of foundation model companies. That's why we decided to go to the direction that we want to do some open data stuff, not like private data. And we believe that private data can also be open sourced if we can introduce some synthetic like technology here to anonymize it or by extract this kind of pattern. And so we can share the knowledge and share the structure out for other application developers to use. So then like Mizu started to investigating this kind of synthetic data direction and also like the general open source data direction. And then we realized that to make that happen, like we really need a scalable network. And it naturally leads us to this kind of DeepIn solution because I really like the saying that cloud service is for scale and DeepIn is for hyperscale. If we can engage the efforts, not only like the data, but also computation resources across this kind of multiple, like basically the user and the community from all over the world, I think we can make like something really cool and very different. We can accumulate the data, accumulate this kind of computation resources together to build a very hyperscale, but like efficient and transparent and open source data, and share that to the to the bigger community and for the greater good. That's like what we're building. So the very first product we're building is basically a DeepIn network to basically like we build a mini like Telegram mini app and a Chrome extension so people can run the code across mobile devices and laptops to help us to process data. It's a decentralized data search and data processing network to help people to fill out this kind of valuable data across a more giant data set and then like give people like valuable insights. That's what we're building. Yeah.
Amazing. So I'm excited to dig in a little bit more with kind of pointed questions for each of you, and then we'll zoom out, talk about the market at a high level, what's happening, and then if we have time for some hot takes and predictions. But maybe Dylan, starting with you, right? Obviously, super clear in the world of Web 2, value accrual has gone to foundational models. I think certainly can see some parallels here in Web 3. But you've taken a different approach in terms of your model architecture and using graph neural networks instead of the transformer architecture. Can you tell us a little bit about?
Has some transformers inside.
Has some transformers inside.
Salute to Ilya. So.
Okay. Salute to Ilya, yes.
Yeah.
But for the most part, graph neural networks.
Yeah.
Curious why, what makes that different, and how does that actually show up when people are leveraging and using your model?
Right. So basically, what an AI model is really about is actually it has prediction. Predictive capabilities is really what the AI model is bringing to the world. And for prediction, it's really up to what type of data you are predicting. So for Web 2, apparently the majority of the data and the data structure is the language data, right? That's the reason why the foundation model of internet has to be a language model because it's where the value is from. It's the most of value is from this language data. But in crypto, in Web 3, we don't have, well, we have language data, mostly on Twitter and different other places. But the most crypto-native data actually is really about on-chain data. Then what is on-chain data? First of all, it's not language. It's a type of graphical data. So it might sound a little bit, but just forget about it. This is a jargon. So what a graph data is really about as long as there's a data structure that can be represented by two components, nodes and edges. So nodes in a blockchain context can be wallets and it can be contracts, and the edges are pretty much just interaction between different nodes, like transaction, it's mint, approve, and a transfer, and all that. So it's a type of graph data when we're talking about the blockchain on-chain data. So just because the nature of the data is different, which means that if you want to develop an AI model, the types of the model must be different. So that's the reason why we started with developing graphical models, and one of the most outstanding model architecture of graph data, of graph models is graph neural network. So that's what we are doing. Yeah.
Amazing. And Shu, I'm actually going to jump back to you, kind of building off everything Dylan just shared on the actual foundational model side. You really planting a flag in the data pipeline. Obviously, you've built a really powerful data curation network. Can you expand a little bit more? Assume folks know nothing about a data pipeline. Why is what you're building important? And why is it impactful? And tell us a little bit more about how that actually shows up when we're talking about the application layer.
I can give a very concrete example, actually. For example, like for foundation model, if you do pre-training, you don't really care about the data quality. Not like you don't really need to curate the data so well. You still care about data quality. For example, the token distribution or something like that, right? So, but like when it comes to like But foundation model cannot do everything, right? You still need agent, and to build an agent, you will need some customized data for some specific tasks. That's called like vertical area, you need this kind of specialized data. And this kind of data is really the barrier of these kind of AI applications. It's very hard to get this kind of application. For example, I want to build an AI bot which can help me to find a job in the market. Then I need to consume tons of resume data or tons of this kind of job market information. And normally, like as an individual AI developer, you don't have that, right? You don't know where to find this kind of data set, and there's no like real-time data out there for you to use. So what we do is like, Common Crawl. There's a nonprofit organization called Common Crawl. And the Common Crawl crawled the whole internet every month, and they published the snapshot out. For example, like last month, Common Crawl crawled about like 2.4 billion web pages, and including about 300 million domains. Okay, there's tons of data out there, but like people just don't know how to parse, how to understand this kind of data. And if you want to use AI to process so in total, like it's about like 20 terabytes of the data, compressed about like 7 terabytes of text. And if you want to find the proper information from 7 terabytes of the text, it will be super expensive. Yeah. I'm telling you, if you want to do that, even one query costs about like more than $10K. We did the calculation. Okay. But if you can leverage this into a decentralized data processing network, and you give a query to us, and it will help you to query all, like basically we do AI match, right, to find out all this kind of resume data for you. And if you have, for example, more than tens of thousands of devices running that for you, it costs less than $10, about like 2 hours to finish the query. And you found all the resume data you want, and you can use that resume data either to build an AI agent bot or use that kind of data to build application directly, for example, build a rack and share that to some other applications. That's a very concrete example, right? Yeah. So you got the data source, but like you need this kind of very efficient and powerful data processing network to help you to curate and find out proper data for you to use. And just to be frank, that Mizu, this kind of model Mizu is using now is not that accurate, but it's like extremely cheap. So even like, you can filter out like 20 gigabytes of data among 7 terabytes of data, and then you can find another, like, have downstream pipelines to keep querying that. It still like, makes the whole data set analysis being like completely scalable and affordable.
Yeah, no, really appreciate that. And Jonathan, I'll jump to you, and then Whit and Don, I'll come to you guys next. Obviously, you can't leverage foundational models or data without compute. And you all have scaled an incredible GPU marketplace. Curious, can you tell us a little bit more about how you've balanced the supply and demand side of that marketplace, knowing that folks are just trying to get their hands on these B100s, B200s right now, flocking to these GPUs. Tell us a little bit how you've balanced that as you've scaled, particularly in a decentralized manner.
Yeah, so for us, like I said earlier, we leverage the supply coming from institutional grade data centers, right? So these are T3, T4 data centers, the quality that you get at AWS, Google, or Microsoft. And the other tier 2 cloud providers. So what that means is when we see that the market is having trouble accessing GPUs, high quality GPUs, from our end, because we have so much partners, we have over 100 partners providing data center grade GPUs, we see an abundance, an overabundance, in fact. So the supply from our side hasn't been a problem so far, right? Like we have way too many GPUs that's accessible to the market. But right now, it's the demand, right? So as far as the demand, we still aren't seeing the traditional Web 2 companies actually believe in what we're building, right? So they say, okay, it's much easier to pay AWS, but then you pay at a cost, right? So for what Exabits is offering, just to put it out there, we're about 40 to 70% cheaper than AWS. And we sort of emulate the same quality that they do, right? So what enterprise companies are looking for is quality of GPUs, uptime, ensure that it's always running, up and running, and also the lack of fault tolerance, right? So it's inevitable that a GPU can break down at any moment. And then when that happens, models usually have to restart. But we've built a bunch of middleware on top of that to ensure that, okay, if it stops, there's a checkpoint that we can put it up back online as ASAP. So yeah, I think it's more of a narrative problem, getting enterprises and other startups to believe that there's an alternative to these large incumbents.
And Don and Whitney, just to build off of that, obviously you all benefit from all of the innovation happening at these kind of core infrastructure layers. And maybe Don, I'll start with you, building what I would consider a very frontier use case in agent-to-agent payments. How have you educated the market on something that doesn't necessarily yet exist? And tell us a little bit more about how you see the future of agent communication happening.
Sure. Yeah, so it sort of exists right now in fits and spurts. Yeah. So obviously there's pockets, usually regionally dependent, where there's a strong foundation for developing out this type of technology. San Francisco, there's pockets in China. These are the dominant places where, from an agentic AI point of view, development is actually taking place. But we also see it within Gen Pop, right? A familiarity with what we're doing. And so the question then becomes, well, how do you tap into that familiarity? I think, broadly speaking, from our arena, our domain space, especially this Web3 AI cross-section, we do a disservice most of the time by kind of obfuscating that with the language that we use, right? Like AI-fi, AI finance, things like this that are completely foreign and maybe objectionable to most people. I would argue that finance isn't that complicated. It's just been obfuscated away by the language. People talk about complex derivatives. They're not actually that complex when you dig under the hood, but financiers use a particular language to obfuscate what they're doing. We do that too in our business. And so what we've been very conscious about is that abstraction that we create because of the way that we speak, and trying to use language that's more familiar, right? So when I say we're defining a category, I believe we're defining a category, but what is that category? Well, it has to be a category that people understand. Yeah. And so we're gravitating towards language like AI commerce, right? With our mindset, it's an extension of e-commerce, right? That most people today now understand. And what we're trying to do is just extrapolate this new condition or new agent within this digital economic environment, which are AIs, right? So combine the two. AI commerce, holy shit. Oh yeah, I've got an AI. I see these things that are starting to emerge. They're gonna wanna buy and sell stuff on the internet like I do. AI commerce, I get it, right? So it's this type of language that I think we need to make a shift towards, so that we can really, drive adoption through familiarity, right? And then the question is, okay, what's the infrastructure that's available in order to enable all of this? We fundamentally believe that one of the friction points is on the payment side across the board for all of the assets that we're trying to enable, in particular from, data sets for training, as well as the infrastructure that's being made available from a compute point of view, data sets for context so that you can provide relevant inferences against specific use cases, but having a mechanism to actually, commercialize and potentially commoditize those assets as well requires a payment system that looks to standardize at least certain communication and transactional protocols within that ecosystem. So that's where our specific focus lies. I know I just went against everything I talked about in the first part of my answer, talking a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but it's really about making sure that these agents understand how they're communicating with one another, and then they can buy and sell the assets or services that they're making available.
And maybe just to build off that, exactly what you said, to go to you, in terms of relatability, I think building a consumer application, an incredible opportunity in the age of AI, but also can be incredibly challenging. Sure. And so can you tell us a little bit more about, how you've reached consumers to date with what you're building, particularly around image generation, but also as you're under the hood, building a really compelling set of infrastructure as well to actually enable creator monetization at scale. Can you tell us a little bit more about how Ringfence works and unpack some of the components of your architecture?
Sure. So when we think about acquiring customers, it is what it is with Web3. I would say that there's more of a want for customers and users than there are actual customers and users out there for consumer applications. Generally speaking, the Web 2 applications that exist in the world have not yet been surpassed by what people are building in Web 3. Fortunately, with creators, we had the NFT wave last cycle, so they understand the value of digital art. And then with this wave of AI that's come along, and the broad scraping of the internet, and the court cases that popped up regarding the theft of people's original work, it made our go-to-market much easier. So we were able to partner with Sony Alpha Collective to tap into photographers who have millions upon millions of edited photos. We were able to tap into the Web3 digital artists who we're all familiar with because we've lost a bunch of money on their NFTs. And leverage them to come onto the platform first, right? Because now we have this place where they can essentially use us as their free unlimited cloud, right? They can upload all of their work, they can move it on chain, they can attach metadata to it so it's provably theirs, and they can restrict the use of AI to train with those images of theirs. So that gave us some initial push to get those users onto Escher. And when we think about the API, Ringfence, really what it is at the core, and helping people monetize their data, this is something where we are just now starting to educate the market. But whether it's good or bad, people respond most directly when they're hit in their pocketbook. And that's how we think of it, right? So as we start to talk towards the API product and how businesses can integrate it, how when our consumer app comes out, users will be able to benefit from it, we're not going to focus on the tech word salad. We're not going to focus on how AI will use their data on a technical level. We're going to put it in a digestible way that helps them understand that today you have $0 from these activities. Tomorrow you can have X amount of dollars from these activities. Do you want more money, or would you prefer to stay where you're at financially, right? And that's exactly where we're at. We're not looking to tie the financial performance of our project to a token. We're looking to tie the financial performance of our project to how much money we can put in the pockets of the users that we're bringing on. And we think that that is really what's compelling about Web3 and about the product that we're building. I think if all of us were to take a step back and look at why we got into crypto or Web3 in the first place, yes, the tech is great and it's phenomenal, but we all stuck around because there was something that led us to a life-changing realization that if we put our life's work or our life's effort into this industry, it was going to potentially change the ability to create wealth for our family or the generations that come and follow on behind us. And we want to be able to provide that opportunity to the users that come onto Ringfence, whether it's B2B users or consumers that we're going to be targeting here in the next 3 to 6 months.
So I think each of the solutions that you're building at different layers of the stack are so powerful, but each kind of compound together. In our final minute or so here, obviously there is a lot of innovation happening in Web2 AI, but I would argue there is an immense amount of innovation happening in the world of decentralized AI. And so maybe, Shu, we can start with you. Thing you are most excited about for 2025, whether that relates to specifically what you're building in kind of the data processing piece or more in general?
I would say I really like looking forward to the boost of AI applications, because now I'm using some of the applications today. I'm using Cursor to help me write code. I think a lot of programmers are using that, but the usage of that is still quite limited. Maybe because of the cost. So decentralized AI maybe can bring down the cost, but I really want to see the consequences here. Basically, how it can really help to motivate and incentivize people to create more applications, and I can use tens of different applications in my daily life. That's what I'm looking forward to, yeah.
Yeah, we'll rapid fire. Go ahead, Whit.
Yeah, so I think the most exciting thing about the next 12 months is going to be the massive amount of attention that's going to come to the space and what we're going to be able to do with that as a business. When you think about getting eyeballs, that's the hardest part of a startup, right? And now essentially we're going to have a market moving in a direction that's going to capture all of those eyeballs for us, and now we just have to get up and put up and show what we've been building for the last year and a half is actually worth somebody downloading and putting on their phone.
I'm pretty excited about where we are right now. I've been doing this for so long, and people have looked at me like I'm crazy for long enough that, we filled a panel, and everybody's focused on AI and Web3. It's pretty awesome. So I just want to, I think the continuity on this, it's going to continue to explode. More specifically, I'm looking forward to AI Agent New Year.
Let's go.
More like the truth terminals coming live and getting paid. Let's do it.
Yeah, for me, it's like what Don said. AI agents, I'm super excited on that. Just because what you're seeing on ChatGPT when they opened up like their API for anyone to create different subsets of ChatGPT, right? Like ChatGPT for Bangkok, ChatGPT for doing anything you want, right? There's a solution for that. And for Exabits, what we're trying to do is enable anyone to innovate it by focusing on the cheapest compute possible to the market, so anyone can build what they want with AI.
Yeah, so I definitely want to see more and more models, more and more agents, and also at the same time want to see more and more builders in this AI space. And if you are building anything related to AI, and I want to see more and more people applying for Near Horizon, it's been an amazing incubation program. I think all of us can pretty much just agree with this. Yeah, this is the future I want to see. Let Near be the AI hub of Web3.
Amazing. Well, folks, I have successfully gone over time. And so thank you all for coming out today, and round of applause for our founders.